No guns, no drug mules, no trucks crossing the border. Just two men, a network of encrypted phones, and a system so quiet it moved cartel drug money across 3 continents for almost a decade without a single alarm going off. Their names are Ruhuan Zhen and Hongche Wu, both Chinese nationals. And according to a federal indictment unsealed in the Eastern District of Virginia, these 2 men were the financial engineers behind a transnational money laundering operation that washed narcotics proceeds for the Sinaloa Cartel and the Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, 2 of the most violent and prolific fentanyl trafficking organizations on the planet. This was not a suitcase full of cash driven across a checkpoint. This was underground banking, a shadow financial system operating parallel to every bank you have ever used, moving hundreds of millions of dollars without the money ever physically crossing a border. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly how that system works and why federal investigators say it may be the single most important weapon the cartels have that most Americans have never even heard of. We are going to show you how Zhen and Wu allegedly built a laundering pipeline stretching from the United States through Mexico, Latin America, and China. We are going to break down the exact methods federal prosecutors say they used: mirror transfers, encrypted messaging apps, foreign bank accounts, and a serial number verification system built specifically to make sure cartel cash never got mixed up or lost in translation between criminal networks that had never even met each other. We are going to show you why the Drug Enforcement Administration says this case reaches from Memphis to Chicago to Bogota to Dubai. And then we are going to show you what happens to the fentanyl crisis in America when the money behind it can move faster than the drugs themselves. Stay until the end because the scale of this network is bigger than almost anyone expected. Let us start with how underground banking actually works. Here's the problem cartels have always had. They generate mountains of cash inside the United States, but that cash is dirty, it is bulky, and every dollar of it carries the risk of arrest the moment law enforcement finds it. Traditionally, cartels solve this with bulk cash smuggling, physically driving suitcases of money across the border into Mexico. But every trip is a risk. Every checkpoint is a chance to get caught. So sophisticated networks move to something faster and nearly invisible: Chinese underground banking, sometimes called flying money. Here is how federal prosecutors say it worked. A cartel distributor in an American city, say Chicago or Atlanta, has a pile of drug cash that needs to disappear. Instead of moving that cash anywhere, a broker connects them to a Chinese national inside the United States who needs US dollars for an entirely different reason: funding overseas tuition payments, real estate purchases, or capital flight out of China, where strict currency controls make it difficult to move large sums of money legally. The Chinese client hands over the equivalent value in Chinese yuan to a contact in China. The broker's network in the United States hands the cartel's drug cash to that same Chinese client here on American soil. No money crosses the border. No wire transfer trips a bank's anti-laundering software. 2 completely separate transactions on 2 sides of the planet cancel each other out. The cartel's drug money is now clean cash sitting in China. The Chinese client has untraceable dollars sitting in America. And federal prosecutors say Zhen and Wu ran exactly this kind of network, laundering substantial volumes of narcotics proceeds tied to the Sinaloa Cartel and CJNG going back to at least November 2016. Drop a comment below right now. Did you know that cartels can launder drug money without ever physically moving a single dollar across the US-Mexico border? Let me know if this is the first time you are hearing about underground banking. Now here is where the operation gets sophisticated enough to fool federal investigators for years. According to the indictment, Zhen Wu and their co-conspirators used mirror transfers, meaning parallel transactions designed to look completely unconnected on paper while functioning as a single laundering operation on the ground. They used foreign bank accounts scattered across multiple countries to fragment the money trail. They used encrypted communications applications so that instructions, exchange rates, and pickup locations never appeared in any traceable format. And most remarkably, prosecutors say the network built a serial number verification system, a method used specifically in bulk cash handoffs where couriers on opposite sides of a transaction confirm they are dealing with the legitimate counterparty by matching serial numbers on currency, the same way a kidnapper might use a code word to verify a ransom drop. Except here it was not a ransom. It was routine business, run with the precision of a financial institution, built entirely to move cartel money. And on top of all of that, prosecutors allege the network used trade-based money laundering, disguising drug proceeds as payment for legitimate import and export deals, so that on paper the money looked like it was simply the cost of doing international business. If you think this case only touches a handful of cities, type yes in the comments right now because the reach of this investigation is staggering. The Drug Enforcement Administration's Special Operations Division, working through its Bilateral Investigations Unit, pulled together resources from DEA offices in Memphis, Lexington, Chicago, New York, Washington, Charleston, Atlanta, and Charlotte, and then the investigation went international, with DEA's Bogota office in Colombia and DEA's Dubai office in the United Arab Emirates both playing a role in mapping this network. Think about what that geography actually means. A drug cash pickup in an American city, a verification system tracing back to brokers in China, financial contacts in Colombia, one of the largest cocaine-producing countries on Earth, and a financial hub in Dubai, increasingly used by sophisticated criminal networks because of its position as a global gold, luxury goods, and banking crossroads. This was never a local case. Federal investigators say this was a fully global financial architecture built to serve two of the most dangerous cartels moving fentanyl and cocaine into the United States today, and it ran for nearly a decade before charges were ever filed. Here is the part of the story that should genuinely alarm you. The indictment covers conduct beginning in November 2016 and continuing all the way to April 2025. That is close to 9 years of alleged laundering activity connected to narcotics, including cocaine and fentanyl, the exact drug driving America's overdose crisis. 9 years where, according to federal prosecutors, substantial volumes of drug money moved through this underground system completely outside the reach of traditional banking surveillance. The Justice Department's money laundering, narcotics, and forfeiture section exists specifically because of networks like this one. Their mission is direct: take the profit out of crime, eliminate drug cartels, and protect the U.S. financial system by targeting the financial facilitators and gatekeepers who let cartel money move invisibly through the global economy. Because here's the truth federal investigators have said publicly for years: you can seize all the fentanyl in the world, but if the cartel's money keeps flowing, a new shipment replaces it within days. The drugs are replaceable, the distribution networks are replaceable, but cut off the financial pipeline, and you start to genuinely damage a cartel's ability to operate at all. That is exactly why this case is being prosecuted as part of Operation Take Back America, the nationwide initiative built to marshal the full resources of the Justice Department against cartels and transnational criminal organizations operating inside and around the United States. So where does this case stand right now? Ru Huanzhen and Hongchae Wu were indicted on April 24, 2025, by a federal grand jury impaneled in Alexandria, Virginia. That indictment remained sealed for over a year before it was unsealed and announced publicly in May 2026. And here is the number that should concern anyone who thinks this case is close to over. Both men remain at large. Federal prosecutors have not said where they believe Zhen and Wu currently are, only that the network they allegedly built connected the United States, Mexico, Latin America, and China across nearly a decade of operation. If convicted, each defendant faces a maximum penalty of 20 years in federal prison. That is the legal ceiling for operation federal investigators say helped keep two of the deadliest cartel organizations in the world financially afloat. Prosecutors handling the case include the Criminal Division's Money Laundering, Narcotics, and Forfeiture section, alongside the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Virginia, working directly with the DEA's Special Operations Division. And officials have made one thing clear throughout Operation Take Back America. Share this video because most Americans picture the fentanyl crisis as trucks, tunnels, and border crossings, when federal investigators say some of the most dangerous infrastructure keeping cartels in business never touches a border at all. It moves through encrypted apps, mirror transfers, and a verification system built to make sure drug money changes hands as smoothly as a bank wire. And here is what makes underground banking so much harder to stop than a truck full of fentanyl. A truck can be pulled over, a tunnel can be discovered, a shipment can be seized at a port of entry, but a mirror transfer leaves almost nothing behind. There is no wire crossing a border for a bank's software to flag. There is no cash physically moving through a checkpoint for a K9 unit to smell. There are simply two transactions, thousands of miles apart, that happen to net out to zero. Federal investigators have said for years that this is exactly why Chinese underground banking networks have become the preferred laundering method for cartels moving fentanyl money out of the United States. It is faster than bulk cash smuggling. It is cheaper than traditional wire laundering through shell companies. And until a network gets sloppy, or until one broker starts talking to save himself from a life sentence, it is almost invisible. Ru Huanzhen and Hongchae Wu allegedly built a laundering network stretching from American cities to Colombia to Dubai to China, moving cartel proceeds for the Sinaloa Cartel and CJNG for the better part of a decade. 9 years of alleged operation, two of the most violent cartels in the world, and a system so quiet it barely made headlines until federal prosecutors finally unsealed the case. Think about what those 9 years actually represent. 9 years of fentanyl precursor chemicals purchased from suppliers in China, the same country prosecutors say the laundered money was ultimately funneled back into. 9 years of cartel gunmen paid, cartel routes maintained, and cartel infrastructure expanded, all funded by cash that federal investigators say moved through a system most Americans have never even heard the name of. This is not a side story to the fentanyl crisis. Federal officials have said the financial network behind a cartel is just as dangerous as the drug itself, because the money is what turns a single seizure into an inconvenience instead of a collapse. Seize 50 kilos of fentanyl, and if the financial pipeline is still open, the cartel replaces it within days. Cut the pipeline and the entire operation starts to starve. This is also not the first time Chinese underground banking networks have surfaced in a major cartel case. In recent years, federal prosecutors across multiple districts have charged similar operations. Moving Sinaloa Cartel and CJNG proceeds through the exact same playbook, brokers matching Chinese nationals seeking US dollars with cartel operatives sitting on piles of drug cash, verified through serial numbers, coordinated through encrypted messaging, and settled without a single dollar ever crossing a border. Investigators have described this as one of the fastest-growing laundering methods in the country, precisely because it exploits two separate problems at once. Cartels need to move drug cash out of the United States, and wealthy individuals in China facing strict government limits on how much currency they can legally move overseas need US dollars inside the United States. Two unrelated demands solved by the same underground network, and neither side needs to know anything about the other's business. Right now, both men are still out there. Right now, the DEA's bilateral investigations unit is still working across 4 continents, coordinating with offices in Memphis, Chicago, Atlanta, Bogota, and Dubai to figure out how deep this network actually goes and how many other brokers, couriers, and financial contacts were part of the chain. Investigators have not ruled out additional indictments, and right now every dollar that moved through this system before April 2025 already reached a cartel that used it to buy more fentanyl precursor, more weapons, and more power. That is the part of this case that should stay with you longer than the arrest numbers or the maximum sentence. The 20-year penalty Zhen and Wu are facing is not measured against 9 years of profit that already funded a global fentanyl supply chain. The money already moved. The question now is only how much of the network federal investigators can still unravel, and how many more names like Zhen and Wu are still operating in cities most Americans have never thought to look at. If you want to know the moment federal agents catch up with Zhen and Wu, and what this case exposes next about how cartels really move their money, subscribe. We are tracking every development. If this gave you the full picture, you know what to do.